All right, fourth graders, this is lesson 9.9. We're going to multiply fractions by whole numbers, just like we did last week. There's a little more to it. All right, well, our first step in multiplying is to use repeated addition, just like with basic multiplication. And the first one we're going to solve is 4 times 1/6. So 4 times 1/6 is adding 1/6, 1/6, plus 1/6, plus 1/6 4 times. When you add that, you get 4/6. That brings us to the critical part of today's lesson. Don't forget to simplify. So today's key concept is don't forget to simplify. I'm seeing even numbers. When you see that your numerator is an even number, it's a multiple of 2, and you can at least divide by 2 if that's your greatest factor. Ultimately, we have an answer of 2/3. Okay, write that down. I'm going to show the same problem with a fraction model. We have 4 times 1/6. And I'm going to draw unit fractions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I made too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops. All right. I have 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6. Since I have 6 of those, I have 1 whole. 4 times that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, with a different representation, we got 4/6. And again, we get to practice simplifying. The greatest common factor is 2, and we got 2/3. Okay, you may write that down. Now that part was kind of like reviewing our last lesson. Okay, now we're going to have a problem to solve, and it's going to be 5 times 3/10. We now have, we don't have a unit fraction, so let's see what the steps are. Step 1. So your first step is to write 3/10 as a multiple of a unit fraction. That would mean to write 3 times 1/10. Okay. Want you to recall that when we use parentheses, you're using the associative property. Okay, go ahead and write that down. Now what's missing here is the whole number. That would be 5 times 3/10, but 3/10 had to be written as the multiple of a unit fraction. I want you to write that down and think about it a little. Okay. Now to solve it, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the numerator by the whole number. So I'm going to put multiply really quickly the numerator by the whole number. And what that means is that we're going to multiply 5 times 3, and that's 15. Why are we calling it the numerator? Because it was the numerator in the original problem. 5 times 3, and we leave the denominator the same. Okay. Here is where we are going to simplify. You're going to write the mixed. You're going to write the improper fraction as a mixed number. And this is the way to solve it without doing division. You say mental math. 10 fits into 15 one time. There are 5 left over, and 10 is our denominator. That's how we got a mixed number. So I'm going to give it a name, and it is, in the third step, write the improper fraction from past lessons. Improper fraction, which is this, as a mixed number. And you know from those lessons in chapter, is it 8? You know from those lessons that you can't leave an improper fraction, and the way to make it a mixed number is to divide by asking how many times does this number fit into that number. I'm quickly going to point out to you that if you need to, you also have a skill that you know very well, and it is called partial quotients division. We're going to take the numerator and divide it by the denominator. I know 10 times 1 is 10, and I know 10 times 2 is 20. 20 is too big, so I have to go 10 times 1 equals 10. Put my 1 in the ones place, subtract. See, we brought back an old friend. And now what you do with your remainder is you write it as a fraction. 1 and 5/10. That is how we made a mixed number. Okay, we also have to simplify. That's going to be an important part of the lesson. Everything in today's lesson must get simplified. So if we left off at 1 and 5/10, and well, they're not both even, but I do know that 10 is a multiple of 5, then I'm going to divide by my greatest common factor. Can't forget the whole number. Must bring it over to my final answer. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. We got 1.5. It's also good to memorize your benchmark fractions. 5 is half of 10. All right, guys. The lesson has one last thing to do, and I am going to have to turn the page. Our answer is 1.5, and I am going to rewrite 5 3/10. 5 times 3/10 equals. I'm going to put what it equals, and I'll show you the final part of this lesson. If you need to pause, this is a good time. Okay, so here's a little review. 5 times the whole number times the numerator gave us 15/10. We practiced dividing in order to get a mixed number so that we don't have an improper fraction. We can't leave it like that. We have to simplify by dividing by the greatest common factor. We got 1.5. Okay, so go ahead and write that down because it's good to review what we just did for comprehension. Okay, so here's the part that you will see in your lesson today, and it means this. This product lies between which two whole numbers? Lies between the number 1 and 2. Basically, if you had a number line, and you have a 1 and you have a 2, this 1.5 lies between 1 and 2. That's what that means. You'll be seeing that on page, I think, 618 and the homework page.